I love a pier or two. And they don't have to be at entrances and they don't have to be in pairs, as this one you can see is on its own. Now this is my latest project, and I found this lovely deep capping stone on eBay, and then I also got these bits on eBay as well. And then I asked the supplier for some stone samples for another job. And usually they send you a tiny little bit of stone. But this time they actually sent me almost a pallet of stone. So that, mixed with other bits we found knocking around, we managed to create this pier. Now, I like it because our drive is very low key. It's not really a drive, it's a track with a grassy stripe up the middle. And we like it low key, so people really don't know we're here. But then when you get nearer the end, we put this in just to signify that you're maybe arriving where you should be arriving. Now it's not perfect yet, I've got a bit to do. I've got the fence to join up to it. And this bit was a little bit bodged. So I'm going to just paint this out and make it look much more like stone rather than this great thick joint. But generally, I think for something that's maybe a week old, I'm really pleased with it. Now, my husband and other people have said, you need 2 piers. I don't think you do. I think one is absolutely fine. And I haven't got 2 matching balls anyway, so it's Hobson's choice, but I'm very fond of my new singleton pier. Now, come and look at some other piers. When you enter a very grand property, it's usually signalled by having 2 very grand piers on the entrance. But of course, piers don't have to be grand. And if you've got quite a modest house, then a grand pier does look a bit ludicrous in a way. But I like doing piers just by having hedging. You can create them out of yew hedging with balls on top. You could create them out of trellis. You could just have big, chunky wooden piers with a finial and paint them to look like stone. And they come in so many different shapes and sizes. And everywhere I go, I love looking at differently designed piers in different areas, out of brick or out of stone, very grand or quite low key or rustic. And you can just see the difference. And it's a very interesting element, I think, to add to a garden. Now these piers here cause a little bit of, shall we say, a talking point in our house. I actually saw them in a client's garden. She had found some just like this from a reclaim yard, and so I thought they were really nice, and I got a local stonemason to copy them, and he copied these 2 here for me for £1,000. It was maybe about 8 years ago, but I thought they're excellent value. They're made of ashlar stone, and you can see it's sawn stone. And they highlight either end of the ha-ha. And the reason they caused, shall we say, a bit of discord in our house is my husband thought they were far too grand for our house. But I think they're quite fun. I think in the garden you can go up or down a bit. You don't have to slavishly follow the feel of the house. And I think they fit in really well, and I really love them. And I like the fact that they really frame this borrowed landscape, the view out to the cattle in the field and things like that. So with the new stone, when we did them and we installed them, and they are in different bits, they're 1, 2, 3, 4 different chunks. So we built them on top of each other, and then we did get them shot blasted before we assembled them. And by shot blasting the stone, it helps them weather much more, because then you have a slightly pitted surface on the stone, and the algae and things work and make it look much more weathered. And they do look really pretty weathered now. And invariably, when I look out of the window in the morning, you see birds sitting on top of the balls. Everywhere we've got balls, we have birds sitting. So these are two nice, what I think nice piers. We could have even made them out of wood, because now you can laminate wood to all sorts of shapes and sizes. It would be quite feasible to make them out of wood, and it might be cheaper, I don't know. And if you used a wood like a coir, which lasts for 50 years, that would be a pretty good deal. Anyway, come and look at some more piers. I put in these piers because I wanted to define the view out to the field beyond. There wasn't an entrance here at all, and we don't own the other field. There was a little gateway on that side because the property did originally own the field, but in our day it never has. But I wanted it to be central because I wanted it to be the centre point of this vista. And I've made these quite dumpy. They're something like 600 wide on all four sides, and then I've got these big concrete balls which I put on the top, which are quite a job to lift on. I do think piers often look mean and thin, and I always think it's better to make them look wider and fatter rather than mean and thinner. Anyway, let's go and look at the next one. Of course, piers don't have to be on the end of a wall. So often we've done walled vegetable gardens in inverted commas that are hedges, and we just have masonry piers on the entrances. Here I've semi-divided the yard by a line of piers, and in between I took the hedging. And I love doing, say, a run of hedging and then having a little stone pier at the end. So think how you can mix the green architecture with the masonry architecture and use it to great effect. And if you haven't got a lot of stone or brick on site, you can always make them from render. And render piers with a really nice finial can really look fantastic. So just consider all the possible materials that would look great with your property. Think where you can accommodate some piers and have fun designing with them.